My name's Dr. Semujagi Gilbert. I'm bringing you another episode on diabetes. So we are talking about treatment of diabetes. Treatment of diabetes, it is multifactorial. It's not only drugs, it's majorly it's lifestyle modification. And treatment of diabetes, just like it's an acronym, the way you hear the word NEEDS, NEEDS, whereby N is nutrition, E is education. I educate you about diabetes like what I've done. Another E is about physical exercise. Another, the D is about the drugs, and S is the self-assessment. Now, I will start with nutrition. Diabetics, a lot of diabetics are confused about what they should eat. So in the nutrition, we encourage these diabetics to eat at least 3 times a day, because most of them are on drugs. Actually, diabetics are on drugs, and they should be on drugs. So we emphasize them to eat 3 times a day, because if you miss a meal, you stand the risk of getting low blood sugar, yet you've swallowed your medication. So in the nutrition, we encourage them to eat 3 times a day, and then there are some foods we advise them to eat and not to eat. Especially, there's what we call a high glycemic index. A high glycemic index, in simple terms, we mean that food that you eat and how much sugar does it pour in your blood. So for example, if you eat a certain food and gives you a lot of sugar after a while, and you eat another food and gives you little sugar after 2 hours in your blood. So one of the two, the one that gives you high sugar is called the high glycemic index food, and the one that gives you low sugar is called the low glycemic index food. So there are foods that have been studied that they have what we call a high glycemic index foods. For example, Irish potato and cassava. So we encourage diabetics, if they're having their meal, not to eat cassava and Irish potato, because this one will make their sugar not to be controlled, even on treatment. Or if they are to be controlled, they will need higher doses of drugs. Yes, so cassava and Irish, but they can eat the rest of the foods. They can, especially the cereals. Cereals are low glycemic index foods. Cereals, I'm talking about sorghum, millet, I'm talking about maize, so they can eat ugali posho, they can eat even matoke, they can eat rice, small rice, they can eat even these sweet potatoes, they can eat, so long as it is not too much, so long as they are controlled. Yes. So on the type of the sauce they can eat all the types of sauce they have. For example, they can eat ghee nuts, they can eat fish, even if they eat fish on a daily, because it's a nice fat. It has omega-3 fatty acids. They increase their good fats in the body that actually help us to reduce on the bad fat in the body. So they can eat those greens. So basically, we encourage these diabetics not to eat too much cholesterol-containing products. For example, if they are to eat chicken, we advise them to eat chicken once a week, and without chicken skin, because chicken skin has a lot of bad cholesterol. We can advise them to eat beef, but beef should be eaten like once a week and should be smoked first to reduce much of that bad fat. So in a week they can eat beef or they can eat chicken. If they eat chicken this week, they should not eat beef in the same week. So there is something that we call a diabetic plate. If it is a circle, 50%, half of it should be greens. These greens are really very important because they have a lot of multivitamins, and in diabetics, these people are suffering from low vitamins. They get a lot of numbness, they get a lot of paralysis, paresthesias. So when they eat these multivitamins, they help them to nourish their nerves, they help them to nourish their blood vessels. So they end up not getting most of the complications of diabetics. And also, it helps them not to feel hungry because they have a high satiety value. The other thing is about the other last half. The last half is where we divide into the quarter food and the quarter sauce. So that's what they call the diabetic plate, that the 50% of the plate should be greens, a quarter should be food, and a quarter should be the sauce. So that plate, whereby the next half, apart from the half of greens, the other half we divide it into 2, which we call the quarters. So the first quarter is for the food, the other quarter is for the sauce. Like I said, you can eat all the cereals, you can eat posho, you can eat You can eat sweet potatoes, you can eat rice, you can eat yams, you can eat matoke, but in small quantities. So in other words, if your plate is divided that way, but it should be like 3/4 of the whole plate. For example, if the plate is you're going to divide it the way I've told you, it should be 3/4. You don't be too much food. So you only eat 3 times a day of that plate. And then the other thing is about the fruits. There are fruits that we can eat, there are fruits that we are not advised to eat when we are diabetics because of their instances of increasing too much sugar in our blood vessels. So some of the fruits that are not advised to eat when you're diabetic, one, it's a pineapple. A pineapple has a lot of sugars. The other one, it's a sugar cane. Of course, a sugar cane. The other one, it's a jackfruit. Pawpaw that are not so ripe, they are advised, but pawpaw that are too ripe, they are not advised to be eaten. Now, some of the fruits that they can eat, actually, a mango can be eaten that's not so ripe. They can actually eat a beetroot, they can eat a watermelon, they can eat these other fruits that are non-sugary, they can eat avocado. So those are some of the fruits that are advised to be eaten. And then the other thing, what are the drinks? The drinks here, people confuse so many diabetic patients and they end up not getting controlled and get the what? The feared complications of diabetes. So the drinks we only advise diabetics to drink. They can drink milk, but milk should be diluted. A cup of milk with a cup of water. They can actually drink porridge. They can drink bushera made from millet. They can drink water. They can even take tea without sugar. So all these drinks that are taking that without sugar, they are not advised to take any juice that is blended. Not sodas, not any juice. Because when you blend a fruit, these fibers are very important. There is a way how they hold these sugars, and then we don't take too much sugar into our blood vessels from the intestines. So we advise them to eat those fruits the way they are, not to blend them. Because when you blend them, you'll get a lot of simple sugars that are coming from those fruits, the natural sugars, that will make you not be controlled. Yes, so that's about the nutrition. Strictly 3 times. If you're missing a meal, you have to either reduce the dosage of the drug that you're taking, or you're not going to take your medicine when you've missed a meal. But we advise them to eat 3 times a day. And that's about a diabetic plate and how they should feed and what are the foods that they should eat and those that we should avoid.